That cushion does move, and so that's proof that I do actually sit over there as well when I'm reading or something. Um, What night is it? 18th of February 23. I've got a cup of tea. I'm quite late with tea, but I just fancied one. I haven't been out today. It's just the way the weather was. But that aside, I'm reasonably busy, and I think you probably understand now that when I was talking to you in much of December and early January, well, most of January to be honest, I was extremely low key. I told you about the Mercury retrograde. I mentioned that quite firmly, how that impacts on my speech and communication and stuff, and also the seasonal affective disorder, the lack of daylight. It's still very gloomy, but there's enough hours of daylight starting to appear in the sky that it raises your tempo and mood naturally. Um, I've spent a little while on the computer. I've got a load just going on just now. It's something I discovered from looking at footage, and also I spent a good 40 minutes chatting to the camera about the in-depth situation in regards to the background to myself and Up and Down. Not so much in the current status of affairs, but or even any of our liaisons, just more or less why it's happening and the deeper issues connected with it all. So I'll leave that for another time. I might not even put it on because it is very in depth, and if you don't understand what I'm talking about, you're going to think that I've potentially lost the plot. I don't want you to think that, because I certainly haven't. Mind you, I've just put something up about fairies. So that's usually indicative that someone's losing their mind, isn't it? But I can assure you, it's a gifted sight. As I say, and I've told you before on this channel, I'm quite sure at least, I've probably said to people, you can't look for fairies. You can't go out looking for them. You won't see them unless they present themselves to you. Okay? So I've seen fairies on many occasions. But if I've gone looking for fairies, I've not seen any. They're very cunning creatures. I'm not talking about little fairies like little girl fairies with little angel wings and stuff like that. Although I'm quite sure they exist, especially in the plants and stuff like that. And was it Mary? I think her name was Mary Cicely Barker. I'm sure that was her name. She used to paint the fairies. I bought a few of her prints actually, the original prints. But she was something else. She really captured them, all the different fairies that she used to paint on different shrubs and flowering plants and flowers and stuff. Absolutely amazing stuff. Have a look if you can find some. Yeah, Mary Cicely Barker. I gave a child one of the books. One of the girls was out there halfway stuck up the tree one day. Heard a bit of commotion, so I went out. I said, "You all right up there?" And she says, "I can't get down." So I said, "Well, give me a minute." And then by the time I came out of the house, because I had something on the stove, time I got out, her mum had arrived and was assisting us. So I was chatting to her mother, and I said, "Well, give me a moment." And I went in and brought this fairy book out. I said, "Here, there's something to read, stop you sobbing your eyes out." And then she said, "There's no such thing as fairies." I says, "Well, after you've read that book, you'll change your whole opinion." So now she's growing up, and I think she just looks at me like this, that daft bastard. Have I got a book of it over there? Hold a second. I've not got the one that I was looking for. It must be somewhere, but I do have this one. Fairies and fairy stories and stuff. This is more of a. I should have given this one to the girl because it's a bit slightly feminine. I think this book. I don't know. But I've got the other one. Let's see the Princess. Oh, am I mumbling? I probably am. Well, what I was thinking about was that chat I've done about myself and Up and Down was, let me get a sip of tea. I'm not speaking to Up and Down. She's pushed me too far this time. Well, she doesn't want to speak to me anyway, so it's no big deal for either of us because she's made it clear she's not wanting to speak to me. That she pushed me too far on this occasion, and so I'm not speaking to her. And although I'm not being childish, if she opens up the lines of communication, well, we'll see what happens. But I'm not doing it, not this time. No chance. But what was I going to say? Every time I think of Up and Down just now, she puts me in a downer. Because she's been so cruel and fraught with me. So I tend to try and think about it. I mean, what I was thinking there was, let me relax a little, because it's been a long day. Up and Down, I often think about this. If I was in the very, very last moments of my life, I'm absolutely sure she'd be with me. She may not be present with me, but she would definitely be with me. I think that fleeting thing where I think it's talked about often that people have near-death experiences, NDEs. My mother had one. My mother had one long before it became even a known subject matter. She had it in the hospital. I won't give too much details about the reason she was there, but she certainly told us about the time she left her body and she was up towards the ceiling and she could see everything happening below her. And she nearly died. It was 1971. Was it 1971 or 70? I'm rather confused. Sometime about there. But yeah, so in my last moments of my life, like I'm saying, this near-death experience, people say they go through this situation where all the best moments of their life fleet before their eyes very rapidly. Like pictures and laughter and song. So for that very reason, I think I would always think Up and Down would definitely be there. I wouldn't see her grumpy. I might see her sad, because she's been sad. Don't like her being sad. But I'd certainly see her jolly and happy. I'd hope she'd return to be jolly and happy. But I also think that if I was like, I don't want to talk about, sounds rather morbid, but say I was, just say for example I was taken ill and it was the defibrillator was getting pressed against my chest or something. And I think the defibrillator wouldn't work on me, but I think what would work is if I was to remind myself of up and down busting into my accommodation in the early days when we first met with a bright smile, and I could still feel her breeze. I could still feel all the fresh air that was surrounded her. She was such a delight. She really was. I mean, I'm not joking. She was absolutely, and she was just so beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. But I think what disturbed me most is the last time I'm speaking to Up and Down is I thought to myself, I'm not talking about just the very last time I saw her a week ago. I'm talking about the times that we maybe spent in each other's company. I thought she's gotten very harsh, very manly in some respects. Do you know, she's lost her eloquence. She used to have such an eloquent voice. She was very, very well spoken. She was very articulate. And she was always immaculate. She was a very clean person. She's always so bright and cheerful. But I did notice she was always rather down. You know, she did dress up a couple of occasions for us, but she looked all right. I mean, she did. She looked very nice. I said to her, I said, I like that top. It really suits you. But she doesn't like compliments. I think she finds compliments are... And if I give her a compliment, it's almost like saying that I love her. That type of conversation. But, I just think to myself, well, I don't know why she does things. I often wonder, perhaps, that, well, there's an old saying that if you, you become the people you are most connected to. Is that not correct? The 5 people you're most connected to are the ones that you become most like. So that makes sense, doesn't it? That's why she speaks like a man. And that's why she's speaking all without articulation. That's why she's scruffy. That's why she's not, I don't know. But I also think to myself, I wonder how much of this is responsibility of Up and Down. Let me explain. If you're feeling slightly insecure, or if you've lost your confidence in life, your self-esteem, then obviously you're going to retract yourself from company, which would make you look, less of a person than you actually are. Are you with me? If I was to join the squash club, for example, even though I don't know if any of the professional people are in the squash club, just for example, though, I'm speaking hypothetically, okay? So just for example, we've got a doctor and a lawyer and, maybe, I don't know, who else is professional these days? I'm struggling. You know what I'm trying to say, an architect, a chartered accountant or something, and all there and chatting away about this and that, and talking about this, and yes, a bottle of Moet Chandon on the weekend. It was absolutely wonderful. It really was. And what about you, Andy? What have you been up to? Are you working? What I bought a can of beer. You know, let's cut that bit out. I don't drink, so that doesn't make sense. I know, so let's start this little escapade again. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to cut this fucking vlog in half now. Yeah, so we've got the architect, the chartered accountant, we've got the doctor, we've got the lawyer and stuff like that, you know, solicitor, squash club, and I'm there, changing rooms and that. Hello there, it was, you know, Rodney or something to do. Did you get your Moët Chandon? I saw you purchasing someone. Did you enjoy it? Oh yes. What have you been up to? What's your name again? Because that's the sort of way they would speak. What's your name again? Andy. Oh, Andy, yeah. Is that Andrew, Andy? Well, it's actually Andrew. I prefer Andrew. I like when girls call me Andrew. And so, Andy, what have you been up to yourself? And you say to her, well, I was down at B&M today. I beg your pardon? I was down at, you know the B&M store? No? It's a big store to the bottom, and you realise halfway through the conversation that they haven't a clue what you're talking about. So that's the sort of thing that can erode your self-esteem and your confidence. So this is why I have a little bit of empathy with Up and Down in these matters. But I understand that she doesn't want to mix with the Laura Ashley type people, because it's. This is going to play her down every time, especially if they're talking about Good Housekeeping magazine or something, or the. Are you still getting your lady subscription? The Lady, the magazine. I know that Up and Down reads the People's Friends. She's got that in subscription. I know that much. But what I'm saying is, I think she gets the Bunty as well, doesn't she? But what I'm saying is that Up and Down has chosen to surround herself with people who are of, well, one, much lower IQ. So for that reason, she's always going to look very important, in, even though she starts speaking like them, because they can't understand. If she speaks normally the way she can, very eloquently, they don't understand that. So what she's got to do is she's got to speak like them. That sort of conversation-wise. And very low vibrational type tone. And of course, there's a two-way thing on this, because now that she speaks like that, they can understand her. But and it also feeds into for Up and Down's ego, because in some sense, what I'm trying to say in this psychological breakdown of my friend Up and Down is that she is now very important in this circle of friends who have got an IQ together of about 50, if you add them all up together. Whereas Up and Down is very intelligent. She writes Latin. She speaks, 5 languages, or was it 7 languages, fluently. She plays the piano. She could sing. She's wonderful. She's got a very nice face. And also she's very eloquent with her voice. And isn't it true that just recently I was at the spiritualist place just to get some peace of mind just prior to Christmas, wasn't it? And the very first thing the woman said to me was song voice. Does song voice mean anything to you? I thought, that's incredulous, because that's exactly what I say to, that's what I describe Up and Down as having, a song voice. But anyway, back to the psychology. So Up and Down is surrounding herself with all these misfits in order to make herself look better, because she doesn't have the confidence or the self-esteem at the moment, because she's lost it. and she doesn't want to be in circles like, you know, the, maybe the Sun Optimist Club or something like that, or, you know, the or some sort of fitness club for ladies or something like that, because she would feel that she's slightly inferior to these other creatures, you know. Do you understand what I mean? So it's just like me, if I was to, you know, sit around a bunch of fools or clowns, I would probably feel very intelligent, because I would be able to say to them, do you know where Madagascar is? You don't? Well, you're a fool. That sort of kind of chat. But if I was, you know, maybe sitting at the squash night out with the doctor and the lawyer and the, you know, the chartered accountant and stuff, and I said to him, Madagascar. Oh yes, I've been to Madagascar twice. You know Madagascar. What's your name again? Because that's the way these people speak. They always want to, you know. I have a great understanding of. This is why I quite like. In all honesty, I quite admire the aristocracy for the way they speak. I know I'll get my head chopped off for this one, but I don't mind this. But they have an absolute art when it comes to belittling people. Not in a low vibrational way, I have to say. They're very clever at doing it. It's one of the best ways to belittle people is for example, is very simple. When when you speak to someone from the aristocracy, the first thing they do is they say, "I'm sorry," or "I beg your pardon," or "What?" They never. They always get on their deaf when you speak, so you've got to repeat yourself. And I found this from first-hand experience, that when you go to repeat yourself of something you've just said, and they said, "I'm sorry, I can't make out what you're saying," and you have to do it a third time, you completely lose your train of thought. So immediately you fall into the trap. And what happens is when you eventually get the message across, it's all jumbled, mumbled anyway. And if it was something you know, quite clever, for example, it's lost its edge. It doesn't make much impression on the aristocracy person that you're speaking to, aristocrat, sorry. So that's just one coin. But as I say, up and down, I think what she needs to do is, well, she knows right now, probably when she's just resting her head on the pillow, as she is, she can't sleep because of me, or having nightmares over me, or bubbling her fucking eyes out over me, probably. I don't mean that in a bad way, of course. But I'll have to cut that, you see. I dare say she has been cheerful. That's maybe a nicer way of putting it. I feel like I'm talking to that girl in the coat again. No, up and down knows. She knows very well that the only person that can heal her now is me. I'm not talking magical healing. Well, I am actually. But I could literally, I was prepared to do this last year, actually. I was prepared to heal her. But she didn't want it. But she might ask me again, "Can you heal me, please? Could you really heal me?" I can heal you. It might take some time and effort, and you have to put in some time and effort yourself for this one.